In January 2024, a single investigation changed the conversation around one of the world's richest men. Wired published a detailed report on Mark Zuckerberg's sprawling estate on the Hawaiian island of Kauai. According to planning documents and interviews, the project wasn't just another billionaire mansion. It included 2 large residences, dozens of additional buildings, private water infrastructure, extensive agriculture, and a roughly 5,000 square foot underground shelter connected to the main house by a tunnel. The total cost was estimated at more than $270 million, and by 2025, Zuckerberg had expanded the property to over 2,300 acres. Within hours, headlines were everywhere. Mark Zuckerberg is building a doomsday bunker. Then people started connecting other stories. Peter Thiel had quietly obtained New Zealand citizenship years earlier and invested in property there. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman had openly admitted he keeps emergency supplies. Luxury bunker companies said demand from wealthy clients had never been higher. At first, it looked like coincidence. Then, it started looking like a pattern. But patterns can be misleading. Because the real question isn't whether billionaires are preparing for the end of the world. The real question is far more interesting. Why do so many of the people building tomorrow's technology spend so much time preparing for worst-case scenarios? To answer that, we have to separate internet myths from documented facts. Chapter 1: The compound that started the conversation. Mark Zuckerberg began buying land on Hawaii's Kauai Island in 2014. Over the years, he quietly expanded the property into more than 2,300 acres of former ranch land and farmland. For nearly a decade, little was known about what was being built behind its walls. That changed when Wired obtained planning documents and interviewed people familiar with the project. The documents described a self-contained compound with 2 mansions, guest houses, agricultural facilities, private water infrastructure, and a tunnel leading to a 5,000 square foot underground shelter with an emergency exit. The revelations quickly sparked headlines claiming Zuckerberg was building a doomsday bunker. But the evidence tells a more measured story. Zuckerberg rejected that description, saying the underground structure was simply a basement or shelter similar to those found in many large homes. While the shelter itself is confirmed in the planning documents, its intended purpose remains known only to Zuckerberg and his team. What we do know is that the estate is built for exceptional privacy, security, and self-sufficiency. Whether that reflects ordinary precaution or preparation for something bigger is open to interpretation. Which raises a bigger question. If this isn't about expecting the end of the world, why build a property designed to function independently at all? Chapter 2: Silicon Valley thinks differently about risk. To answer that, you have to understand Silicon Valley. Most people judge risk by asking, how likely is this? Silicon Valley often asks a different question. If it happened, how prepared would we be? That mindset is at the heart of venture capital. Investors expect most startups to fail, knowing one successful bet can outweigh dozens of losses. Their business is built on preparing for unlikely but high-impact events. That way of thinking doesn't disappear after success. If anything, it becomes stronger. The pandemic exposed how quickly supply chains, transportation, and everyday life could break down. Since then, cyber attacks, geopolitical tensions, and the rapid rise of artificial intelligence have reinforced one idea. Modern systems are powerful, but they're also vulnerable. That doesn't mean catastrophe is inevitable. It means resilience has become increasingly valuable. Viewed through that lens, Zuckerberg's compound looks less like paranoia and more like risk management, but it still leaves one mystery. If resilience is the goal, why does one country keep appearing in the plans of Silicon Valley's wealthiest figures? New Zealand. Chapter 3: Why does New Zealand keep appearing? If Zuckerberg's compound became the symbol of billionaire preparedness, then New Zealand became its destination. For years, one country has repeatedly appeared whenever journalists investigate how Silicon Valley's elite think about risk. Why New Zealand? The answer is largely geography. It's one of the world's most isolated developed nations, politically stable, rich in fresh water, and far from many major geopolitical hotspots. Those qualities have long made it attractive to investors seeking long-term stability. No one is more closely associated with that story than Peter Thiel. The PayPal co-founder became a New Zealand citizen in 2011 under an exceptional circumstances provision. When that became public in 2017, it sparked controversy and fueled speculation that he was securing a backup plan for global instability. Later, reports revealed that Thiel had purchased a large estate near Wanaka on New Zealand's South Island, further cementing the country's reputation as a Silicon Valley safe haven. But the evidence is more nuanced. There is no public evidence that Thiel believes civilization is on the verge of collapse. Instead, his career reflects a consistent philosophy: prepare for unlikely but high-impact events. He backed Facebook when it was still a college startup and co-founded Palantir after 9/11, betting governments would increasingly rely on large-scale data analysis. Viewed through that lens, owning property in one of the world's most stable countries looks less like an escape plan and more like another form of diversification. But Thiel isn't the only tech leader whose preparations have drawn attention. The next person on our list isn't investing in remote land. He's helping shape the future of artificial intelligence. Chapter 4. Sam Altman and the business of preparing for the unknown. If Peter Thiel represents Silicon Valley's philosophy, Sam Altman represents its future. As the CEO of OpenAI, Altman is helping shape one of the fastest technological revolutions in modern history. Artificial intelligence is transforming software, education, finance, healthcare, and even national security. Governments are racing to regulate it while companies race to build it. So when people discovered that Altman had spoken about emergency preparedness years earlier, many jumped to an obvious conclusion. Does the man building AI know something the rest of us don't? The answer is probably not. Altman's comments actually date back to a 2016 interview with The New Yorker, where he casually mentioned keeping emergency supplies, including food, water, medical supplies, batteries, masks, guns, ammunition, and land in Big Sur that he could reach by flying. He even joked that if something went terribly wrong, he and Peter Thiel would probably end up in New Zealand together. For years, almost nobody paid attention. Then ChatGPT arrived. Suddenly, that old interview went viral. The same words that once sounded like harmless preparation were now interpreted through the lens of artificial intelligence. People assumed they were connected. Altman has repeatedly pushed back against that interpretation. He has explained that his preparations aren't about expecting one specific catastrophe or believing AI will inevitably destroy civilization. Instead, they're the same kind of contingency planning that many people adopted after living through COVID-19 and witnessing how quickly normal life could be disrupted. Chapter 5. The Business of Survival. 20 years ago, luxury bunkers sounded like something from a Hollywood movie. Today, they're a real business. Companies like Survival Condo in Kansas have converted former missile silos into luxury underground residences complete with apartments, medical facilities, power generation, food storage, water purification systems, gyms, and even swimming pools. Others, including Atlas Survival Shelters, build custom underground shelters for private clients around the world. According to executives in the industry, interest surged after the COVID-19 pandemic and has continued to rise during periods of geopolitical tension, including the war in Ukraine and conflicts in the Middle East. Families with the financial means to prepare for emergencies. That doesn't necessarily mean these people expect civilization to collapse. It reflects something much simpler. Preparedness has become another form of insurance. You insure your home against fire. You insure your business against cyber attacks. You buy health insurance, hoping you'll never need it. From that perspective, building a resilient property or purchasing a shelter isn't fundamentally different. The only difference is the price tag. So, are Silicon Valley billionaires secretly preparing for the end of the world? Based on the available evidence, Probably not. The real story isn't about hidden bunkers or secret knowledge. It's about how some of the world's most influential entrepreneurs think about uncertainty. They don't assume tomorrow will look like today. They prepare for the possibility that it won't. Whether it's Zuckerberg's compound, Peter Thiel's ties to New Zealand, or Sam Altman's emergency supplies, the common thread isn't fear. It's resilience. After financial crises, pandemics, wars, cyber attacks, and the rapid rise of AI, one lesson has become impossible to ignore. The future is unpredictable, and perhaps that's the biggest takeaway from this story. Not that billionaires know a secret, but that the people building tomorrow spend a lot of time preparing for the unexpected.